Go.
Hey, did we say anything about, we didn't, okay. Welcome everyone, how are you? What a beautiful crowd. There was nobody here, just, what did I say? I told you. Welcome everybody, glad you're here. Welcome to Open Door Poetry. This is part of the Johnson City Poets Collective. I'll talk to you more about that. A few things we need to go over, I guess, is that's an exit, because that's the way you came in. There's an exit back here. Bathrooms are back this way. Just be quiet if you got to go to the bathroom when somebody's reading. We ask that it's 4 minutes or less, or something thereabouts. It depends. If it's really, I'm not going to, okay, 4 minutes or less thereabouts. Right now, one of the things that always happens to me, and what's funny is I'll be up here telling you to turn it off, and it's funny it didn't ring. Sometimes there's a guy named John Mooney who I thought would be here. He'll call me when I get up here before I tell you to, so let's all turn our phones down to vibrate or turn them off or whatever you want to do. Another thing is, if you got to chatter, we got to talk, try to be respectful. We're all here for the poetry. Welcome. I am the beer poet, sometimes known as Brandon Doe the Great. I want to invite you to a funny show that I'm going to be doing. It's a vaudeville act. Not to misrepresent, but it's at the Willow Tree. If you don't know where that is, it's 217 East Main. On Friday the 13th, February, Friday the 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. It's going to be some great stuff. There's fire eating, there's bed of nails, acrobatics, murder. It's going to be great. It's going to be a really good time. If you could come out to that, that'd be awesome. So that's my advertisement. Without any further ado, I think I will go ahead. There'll be more advertisements along the way, but I'm going to go ahead and invite our first poet. Great help to the Johnson City Poets Collective, the boss. Everybody give a big round of applause for Bailey Buckner.
This first one's not done yet, but I'll read it anyway. The wet snow clung to the wool fibers of my long black coat. On days like these, it's hard to believe the world is warming, only just to freeze again with everything beneath. These feet know these streets. They know every inch, every crack, every corner of which one must be sure to keep an eye out for someone who might follow. Who knows what will happen to the city? This home I know. Will floods fill it to the brim, to the top of the valley? Will an earthquake shake the buildings into rubble, and so it goes with us under? Or will the buildings simply crumble on their own? Thank you. I have one more, called Class. It strikes me that when a plane careens into the ocean or into a mountainside or explodes midair for whatever reason, the people in first class die the same way as those in economy. Thank you.
By the way, if I am on stage and announcing, I'll need this list, but if there's somebody else on stage and you want to sign up, the sign-up sheet is here and there are plenty of spaces left. Very nicely made. Thank you very much.
Whoever made it.
Let's see another advertisement. January the 20th. Let's see. February the 20th at Nelson's Fine Arts. You guys know where Nelson's Fine Art is, everybody? And 324 East Main, same road. Seems like I do a lot of things on that one street. But anyway, we have a story slam, and it's kind of an interesting take on things. It's like oral tradition, but what we do is it's in a poetry slam. It was born from the poetry slam, and Sunday they ran with it. But it's a fun thing to do, so you got 10 minutes to tell a story that has something to do with something about the theme. I don't know if you've ever heard of The Moth, but it's something to look into. It's a kind of storytelling gig. You guys are looking at me like, shut up. We are poets. Get off the stage, storyteller. I didn't mean to do this. It was just an easy degree, I swear. Okay, moving right along. Back to some real poets. One of the guys that's been with us a long time. Great poet, good friend. Everybody give a big round of applause for Alan Holmes.
Warden Zevon attempts to cash a check at the Acoustic Coffee House. I know he's carrying because I saw the pearl-handled jut in his jacket gap as he climbed from my car. He holds his head tilted high as if he catches scent of prey. I flip him off again, like usual, because lately I've been seeing him where I would not. He's been dead for years, and my blaming him for undoing my life that I have conscientiously quoted piece by piece from different streaks of luck. God damn it. In the 80s, my friend Steve was suicide 2 Christmases ago, attempted twice to cultivate his look. The one when he recorded his one hit, the one Kid Rock is fucked up now. Steve had apple cheeks and couldn't suck them in enough to get the Zevon sour face, although he held his jaws apart. And near the coffee refill table, nursing my 3rd cup and counting what loose change I have by feeling through the dinner. Warren stands against me, tail tall against my shoulder, hip pressed just enough to let me know he's there when he suggests I walk outside. But if I go, I lose my refill privileges. I have $1 left. I smell his pistol's oil and think about my mother's singer, how she took in clothes for lots of folks I knew, some girls from school out of my youth, impresses. I of course mistake the push for having sat on my own jacket skirt, but he says go, and then I'm standing right in front of a small combo I don't know, while they are covering Elvira, drop down in a minor key and just as sad. I drop what change I have into their tip jar, an apology for walking out, and Warren skulks behind me, hi-ho silver away. I never read love sonnets here, so tonight I'm going to read a love sonnet. At an industrial park under construction in Coleman, June 1984. We had White Yoakum twanging on cassette while we were parking somewhere where the mud came over sidewalls. And of course, we should have been more cautious maybe. And I bet that if we had had a better chance and met down in your daddy's shed, I'd ask, I could have house sat for your brother if he would have shown consideration. How would get so little time alone with weeks to go before our wedding day. We might have made that curfew that your mother had to know was nothing but an inconvenience, laid like law. We didn't stoop to tell her so, but bottomed out. That time we disobeyed.
Very nice. Ready? I got a plan. I just was thinking about that. Oh, okay. Coming up next, another one of our long time. Hell, I was listening to him a long time ago. Not to say anything about our age, but one of my favorite poets that's ever been part of this group. And let's all give a great round of applause for Ron Giles. You need a podium? Stool? You need a podium as well?
Yeah. Every once in a while, I think anyone who writes poetry writes a poem or two about the art itself, a poem about writing poetry or about art and how it takes shape. We had a number of years ago, we had a student in the English department from China, and he gave me a book of poems. It was from the Tang Dynasty, and traditionally regarded as one of the glorious periods of Chinese history. And in it was a poet named Bai Zhu Yai, who lived from 772 to 846. And in the poem, there's the man that's described as charcoal and for sale. And one line in the poem is, "But though his coat is thin, he hopes for winter because he can sell more of his charcoal." And so the title of this poem is Charcoal, and it's about art and how writing comes into the person's consciousness, and either as you're doing it or watching someone else. The woman perched on the fountain's edge with a sketch pad resting on her knees seems posed her safe while the wind heaps the yellow leaves and downdrafts the heron gliding in at last with the current which rushes white the surface of the lake and tilts the birches south. She disdains the wind, just like Bai's old Confucian, leaning on his staff and flushed for snow, who fired his earthen pit against the coal to make the charcoal render more than wood wet and heavy in the monastery's cart. At the eunuch who led a spindly horse uphill, he would have smiled as roundly as a mine, his face and fingers smudged. With a willow stick mellowed by fire, she draws the birches nodding starkly toward her in the raking gale. Her blue scarf flaps against the basin, with its thin glaze of ice gleaming in the eyes of the nymph who peeps above the fountain's shaft. A mutt sniffs around the curve, then trots away. Another heron nerves itself and headlong flies into the blow, but this one too relents and saunters to the edge to wade in waves unruffling on the sand. She puts the charcoal in a canvas bag and dallies through a sunny lull until the breeze redraws its atmosphere. The weathered shift of artistry requires a cold refinement, as when about the lake are fire staged by a sharp and skittish wind, the dumb show bobs and whirls. Well, kids, I've been coming to poetry night. I think I was at the first one next door. I even remember who read first, a man named Wes. I don't remember Wes's last name, but he read first. I believe Nora was in charge of the reading then, and over the years we've had different MCs, Laura Cross, Kitty, some you remember, and it's been a lot of fun. But kids, it's time. I just don't have anything else to say. I don't believe in poetry. And I still want to come to the coffee house from time to time and listen. But I think it's probably time for me to hang up my rock and roll shoes. And it's been so much fun, and I want to encourage every one of you to keep writing, keep keep to the task, keep going, and remember it's important. It's very important. Thank you.
Ron, I understand when a man's made up his mind, he's made up his mind, but I'm gonna try to change your mind on it. We love you. You gotta come back, my brother. That was fantastic, as always. You can't deny us that, and friend, but a man's got to do what a man's got to do. Love you, Ron. All right, moving right along. So we're still raising some money. We're trying to put the Johnson City Poets Collective together. So when we've made the money to become a nonprofit, and that's in the works, but that's only the beginning. So if you wanted to donate some more, one of the things was which it took me forever. I apologize. I don't know how to turn that off. I think it just takes a long time to shut down. But so I've turned that off. But if you get cold, let me know and I'll turn it back on. So like us on Facebook, Twitter, and then let's move on to the next poet. Let's give a big round of applause for Damian Carpenter.
Okay, I was in a modernist mood when I wrote these. You'll probably see that. The first one references some Hemingway writings. Hopefully you don't need to know all that much about him to get it. It's in 3 parts, and it's called All These People That You Mention. 1. Whoever heard of an entire town being burned? Nothing left but charred cinders and freestanding chimneys. Decayed, yes. Flooded, yes. But burnt? Not in my time. After all that, there will be plenty of time for fishing in May warmth, and plenty of earthy, dew-soaked hoppers to catch them with. Hell back then. Wounded, scarred by war, and all that gathered in the tidal wake, the people, the shattered innocence, short and limp masses. Things are in order now, right? Looking back, I see tramps and seedy Paris cafes. I wander the streets lost in a generation displaced from home. A dead loneliness, quite rigid, quite dead, hides behind each face. Jug, bring a jug and let's toast ourselves. As kingfishers blaze in morning sun on steep descent to sanctifying waters, as the Italian peasant woman instructs and instructs and instructs, as the Minnesota kid gets bished on whiskey and seltzer, as the Michigan kid lets it ride on a young filly in the third with bad odds, we'll sell ourselves silly. 2. All rivers lead to the sea, old man, 3 days gone and resurrected, bloodied and worn as an old cot, while they stare in awe at the cavernous skeleton of great hope. Everything is in order now and the trade winds are blowing. Bandage your hands and consider the Hail Mary said. The fierce and savage blue is yours. There are many more fish to catch and plenty of albacore to catch them with. 3. Winter, winter, how I love the winter. On frozen pond with puck and stick in Michigan cold. Oh, but the snow and ice are receding and the crocus is pushing through the turf. But Joltin' Jolie's our man, bone spur and all. Whoever heard of a guy playing with a bone spur? Not in my time. I traded my Barry Bonds rookie card to Bill for a vintage Joe D. What a sucker. I'm sure it will sound magnificent in my spokes, click-clacking and such, in the thick August heat. Ah, but the clouds are mounting a sneak attack, all bloated and gray and darkly terrifying. Thanks. The second one, Christmas just happened, so this is kind of about that. Called Christmas Pilgrims. Sky is a subtle color of intimated absence, tenuous between storm and bluing sun, throws shadows upon late autumn Saturdays, where only the slightest hint of green is noticed by those who know to look. People drive little vessels of consumer wit through carbon-clouded ant colonies of concrete, where there is plenty of parking and quality customer care. Everything is a bargain in this buying season. Wouldn't you feel silly without this doohickey? Surely you'll go far with your plastic Jesus riding on the dashboard of your car. And of course you must remember to purchase your bottle of self-absolving holy water brand bubble bath. Comes with a Vatican seal of approval. Did you hear? Did you hear? They're coming out with upside down Christmas trees this year. Oh my, what a delightful thought. Tell me, do you know if they come in pink? Just imagine how fun it will be to ornament and water it upside down. Shall we also stand on our heads and sing O Tannenbaum backward? At night I dream of multitudes shrunken from excess, peering through gemless rings and pursing pale lips, while they shuffle and dance with bone-molded legs. One must be merry in times like these. But when will dawn come and brighten the sky and make all green fill the eye? Keep to the path on the right. Blessed are those who thirst in the green tint of late night. You may drink long and deep when morning comes. For now, raise your forehead to the wind. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, my friend. Oh, did I mention to like us on Facebook? And we're working on a site. How much do we have? We still got a long way to go with it, right? But we have the website. I'm sorry. We have the website, JohnsonCityPoets.org.
JCPoets.org.
JC Poets. I thought you were abbreviating for me. Whatever that means. You shut up. You see these ropes back here? If you stick around, you'll know why those are there. This is supposed to be poetry, but I'm going to call it street performance, at least for a few minutes later. So hang on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. All right. A repeat offender, a great guy, a great poet. Let's all give a big round of applause for Rippy Moore. Yeah!
I don't want to disappoint, so I'll read 2 poems tonight. The first is called Flynn Spoke, I Read a Story. Flynn spoke, I read a story about something that stuck out to me. I see you shaking your head. I don't usually do it. I got so many already. But this one stuck out to me. After the husband and wife in the story returned from New Orleans, she asked for something, you know. And he answered, "You can't have it any way you want," or something like that. And then he said, "You got the keys to the kingdom, and I don't." He must have been upset as I was about that time, for the trees were feeling the wind. The cold worked through my coat and my skin. I remembered what my precious wife had said. We had been dragging each other around for over 10 years. We were bruised and bloodied, and piss was everywhere. She was waiting for the TB results, which must be like waiting to hear your fate read to you from a stone tablet, like a commandment that God or anybody can't white out. Like when Clay asked, "Have you grouted before?" And I hadn't by myself, he kept on asking, "Have you grouted yet?" And clearly the answer was no. But the tiles were getting clear and the buckets were dirty, cleaned and filled repeatedly. Clay kept saying, "It's looking good," and I kept agreeing. My knees were sore as hell and my hands were freezing cold. We would step back and look, get on our knees and work. We witnessed grooves of fate as the stone was washed away. A story we could stand on, bigger than the both of us at once. Woo! I should say something about this poem. The imagination allows us to enter each other's stories and understand ourselves and others a little bit better. This is my good friend Jeff's story, and this is what happened when I got there. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. You wouldn't believe me if I told you 100 times. Well, that's a tall order with big goals, but here goes. It came almost past memory, the start, not the end, like a strange gift from a close friend. Flynn and I were barely biting ankles, but everyone was getting ready to harvest Paul Grindstaff's tobacco. Jimmy was leasing one of his fields in the cove to Paul, but even Jimmy was there ready to cut and haul. That was the summer before he got cholera. Clay and Barry were there too. Paul used to call them spring chickens, even though I would come to find out later he barely had 20 years on him. So the day was really long and hot, and Flynn and me felt in the way more often than not. We had to sprint just to keep pace with the men hauling stacks of big, beautiful greens to the barn, hanging them like retired jerseys in a stadium. When the harvest was done, Mr. Grindstaff figured he'd cook us one of his white leghorns for all the help he'd got. So he just grabbed one up and cut her head off. We stood still. As it bled out, he said this is quicker and took his kerosene can and soaked the hen. Then he lit it on fire, and that bird started flying. And the hen flared right between Flynn and me and warmed our faces better than the sun. And it was close, too, because we were standing close to each other. And I fell back and sat there with my arms around my knees like I was holding myself. And I couldn't see real good because my eyes were wet. And Flynn spit up his breakfast and looked at it a minute and said, "Why did I eat marbles?" And the bird took her flames with her under the house like a chicken with its head cut off because it was out of control like a shooting star. Paul Grindstaff yelled something over and over that my mother said I couldn't never repeat, and Pa said it was a sign and got on his knees and started praying loud, while Mother wisely shouted, "Emergency! Emergency!" And Jimmy yelled, "Get the buckets, boys!" Clay and Barry got the hose going, and I was worried for Flynn, but I did my best to hold myself in. And Flynn said something incoherent on his hands and knees, and the shouting blended the breeze. They got the hen calmed down a bit. Not wanting to get cooked, she got soaked wet. Mr. Grindstaff crawled under the house and dragged the unkempt carcass out by the feet and raised it up about head high and said, "That'll eat." Then everything slowed down again. But I was only 4 or 5, you know, so I picked myself up and let myself go.
Smooth, man. Very smooth. That was awesome. All right. Just a few more poets. And that guy. Hey, welcome back. Hey, there was a time that I wasn't here, and this guy took my job for a little while. And then one time I came back, and we did this real funny bit. It was when I took his job back, and we were just kidding around. So I came up there, and I was singing The Gambler.
Yes,
Or was I singing it wrong, or were you singing it wrong?
You were singing.
But one way or another, we got into this theatrical fight, and he was like, "Get the hell out of there, it's my stage now." And I was like, "Fuck." And so I ran around, and I just sat back there and watched, and everybody was like, "What's going on?" And I sat in that back corner, and then finally yelled out. That was a great night, we had a good time. That was kind of poetic, the whole transition. Well, thank you for the throwing back, brother. Yeah. These people are like, what is he talking about? All right, moving right along. Next poet up, let's give a big round of applause for Janice Hornborg. She was here the last time and did wonderful, so no pressure.
Yeah, I think that's good. Well, I went to a workshop called January Jumpstart that was given by the Tennessee Mountain Riders. And 2 of these came from that workshop. I think that we were asked to mine our youth for almost every poem. So this poem is How I Learned Patience. Determined to copy Pawpaw, scraped a backyard rectangle clear of grass. Already tasting the tangy red globes pictured on the Burpee seed packet, I pressed Cherry Bell's dimpled seeds into city soil. Marked on a calendar 21 days to maturity, watered and waited. 4 days later, heart-shaped seed leaves broke the dirt. After a week of sunshine, sprigs with saw-toothed edges. Unlike Pawpaw's tomatoes that swelled in plain view, my mysterious crop rooted underground. Nightly, I dreamed of ruddy shoulders shrugging into light. Daily, I checked for progress, nibbling the stringy roots, tasting only grit. By the third week, my row was empty. Later, weeding Mother's dahlias, I pulled up a perfect rosy spear, stray seed grown to perfection. And the next poem is more or less a true story, except that I found out the truth many years later rather than quickly as the poem describes. It's called Innocence. Soothed by Mother's familiar scent, I nestled into a crumpled blanket in the dim bed of her closet. Watched my calico scratch and settle, labor out dark sacks smelling of blood and earth, chew through glistening membranes to squirming, squealing life. 6 times I counted the wonder. Tiger striped, black, gray, yellow, cream, and white. Called away for lunch, I returned to a single kitten in a clean cardboard box. Mother helped me scour stained blanket folds, insisted that my count was wrong. Cat and I continued our search under the bed. Above the washing machine's clatter, I overheard Mother's whispered plea for Father to bury the bodies she'd hidden under a flower pot in the garden shed. And this last one was written for a friend of mine in the Lost State Writers Guild who likes his after-dinner cigars. And I hate smoking in general, but he had written a series of smoking poems and I had to outdo him. So this is called Credo. Church sign glimpsed through my windshield. Where will you spend eternity, smoking or non? I take out a pack of pleasure and light up, chuckling at this matchless notion of hell and heaven. The first drag goes right down to my heels, fills me with mysterious magic vapors. My vision of heaven is more like Isaiah's. Fiery 6-winged seraphim shout, "Holy, holy, holy." Shake God's smoke-filled temple to its foundations. Purge sin from unclean lips with touch of burning coal. Who contrived a fume-free heaven? When God met Moses, he descended on Mount Sinai in fire, smoking like a furnace.
I have a funny thing to tell you. And if any of you know me, I've smoked for a long time. I haven't had a cigarette since December the 13th. That was great. Welcome back. No pressure. All right. Speaking of no pressure, this guy's gonna suck. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody give a big round of applause for my buddy Alex. Come on up.
Okay, I've got three maybe. You'll have to keep time for me. The first one's about...
Take your time to hurry up.
Yeah. It's about well-oiled mustaches or popcorn, I can't remember. Anyway, it's called They're Hipster Than You. In San Francisco, strange men are climbing from the freezy, choppy waters of the bay and hurling aloft oxygen-deprived thoughts on vessels of toast, to be recorded by extraterrestrial passerby and the countless burning eyes of the night sky. Their whims fall ragged and out of context with the spring rain onto scarecrows back bent and plastic pirouetting outside of my front door, and into the trash-strewn backyards of my neighbors where pets peck shyly with strange accents milling around in their heads. They burn strange candles. Their stories, being lost in the West, unclothed or kempt, the storm-addled thoughts spout nonsense of yesteryears until the wild-eyed temerity of them, the foreignness and incoherence of them is found charming, and they are taken in and guarded fiercely, until, finally, the truth and rightness of them is spread wide and made acceptable by young, enterprising travelers abroad from San Francisco. Woo! This next one is called Roses When They Get There, and it's kind of about, I don't know, like apathy when an older generation hands down the torch to a younger one. Anyway, it's called Roses When They Get There. I'll show you breathing is only difficult when drinking. Speak less. Speechless, we are living in, walking on the abandoned shell of industrial revolution giving way. We are sleeping in. Talking encores in our sleep kingdoms where the monarchy has outcast us, waving black-flagged ideas, throwing roses and wisdom into the abyss for our children when they get there. Red, to hide the hereditary vessels painted to match, the copper of them rusty green under the canopy, and they are never bothered by their sails pulling up winded and wailing onto the shores of better dreams. All right, this is my last one. It's a little bit more lighthearted than that, sorry. This one's about friends moving away, in short. It's called Airdropped Lines. I watched yesterday's sunrise in a recycled paper sky fold dreams like airplanes that use my broken living room window to fly red-eyed somewhere over the Mojave or Sonoran. Dropping thoughts precious and light like rain in a dry season or food for the hungry to pepper the footfalls of immigrant exodus before heading north. Away from all the angels of God who dress in drag for Sunday Mass and bear the cross that holds the sky up, palsied, shattering opinions, where the awful truth of them sings, bells that resonate into the empty shoes and sad laughter that's all that's left of anyone here anymore. Too weak to bear even shadows, cowering like children hid under desks to beat the bomb. Effigies of this neighborhood look in and infect as I draw breath, their leftover silhouettes forlorn forever like funeral flowers. And my dreams don't write, don't call no more. They're busy eating cactus flowers, making neighbors with heat-riding wings and learning their singing. So I've changed my address to whiskey at 11 a.m. and letting strangers in so I never drink alone, even if they never know my name, before they too join the heavy traffic out of my living room window. Thanks. Woo!
He's been away for a while, and I've kind of forgotten. It's kind of interesting, man. You're like, I love it, but it's
Dark.
well, it's not happy. But to me, and check me on this, Kevin. You're going to be on the list, right? You're signing up. You just showed up late, but we need to have a poem from you, right? No pressure. No, but it's kind of like it's like T.S. Eliot somehow mixed in with Hunter S. Thompson. So it's like. We are the hollow men. Jesus Christ, what are these animals? We are the stuffed men, leaning together. Okay.
I'll take it.
England, weirdos. All right, moving right along. Let's give a big round of applause for our next poet, Sharon Fox. Come on up.
Girl called me up the other day. She says, "Come on over, baby. There's nobody home." I went over. There was nobody home. How's that?
Good, thanks. One of my
my most prized possessions is a family history that was done by a relative that traces part of my family back to the 1500s, written in German. However, I don't have a lot more of my family history in real terms, as this poem says. It's called Frayed White Twine. Grandpa Rudy never taught my family's German language. He did not demonstrate foods brought along to the New World, offering delicacies, frozen fruit juice poured from cans of sugar-free peaches, pears, potato sticks, lifesavers, store-bought, not hand-pressed Springerly picture cookies. I turned to cookbook pages for arcane kitchen arts not kept alive in America, slathering mustard across tender fillets of raw beef, adding diced onions, bacon chopped into miniature pieces, tiny julienne strips of briny dill pickle. No handwritten recipes steeped into my very bloodstream. I gathered 4 plies of twine, frayed from the cardboard bobbin, and tied each beef roll into a bundle, browned them, seared rich flavor, heated broth, bay leaf, peppercorns all together, knotting up my heritage the only way I knew how. And like Janice, I've been revisiting my childhood too, because here's another one that features their house in Halloween 1967. The time of goblins, ghosties, souls that walk through the night, neared one Pennsylvania autumn. Atop the Alleghenies, WJAC's signal light cast its red glow, steadily warning, something foul's afoot. Beware, bad weather, bad vibes. Evil edges into town. Do not allow your children free rein this All Hallows Eve. Something foul is in the air. Razor blades are poison in red apple your neighbor gives. Wearing a cheap plastic mask, a Sleeping Beauty outfit purchased from Westwood Woolworths, I remember knocking one time, Grandma Vera answering, spying 2 children costumed, asking who we could possibly be, handing out Snickers mini bars, closing the door, her inside, mother, brother, me outside. We made a short loop, her house, Aunt June's next door, then returned to Grandma's again, trusting only family, as if death lurked around, masked, guised as a family friend. And then I started a new series that came to my mind when I was making chocolate chip pancakes for my kids. The series is the Constellations in Everyday Life, and the first one is titled Cassiopeia. Cassie plugs in her griddle, bleary-eyed, barely awake, blending Bisquick, eggs, and milk to create the day's breakfast pancakes. Hurry up, Andrea, she hollers at her teenage daughter. Stop preening in front of your mirror. Nancy's makeup cannot ever make her prettier than you are. Andrea sighs, answers the tidal tug of chemistry classroom and lab, English composition, first year French, the mysterious alchemy of algebra, world history, newer than ancient times. Cassie sprinkles a constellation of tiny chocolate chips, plentiful enough, simple to pick out the W of her stars, flips them when bubbles have broken, serves her daughter a plateful of mythology, of her life story, before sitting down, tied to the chair of the day's drudgery, the punishment of the gods.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Have you, I don't think I've been here when you read it. Is this your first time in the state?
No, she was here.
That's right. I'm sorry. I've slept since then. I remember now. But welcome back anyway.
Thank you.
One of the things that I was reminded of is if you look at our website, what we'd like to have is you guys, the people that read particularly, if you've got something short you would like to put it on the page, it would be awesome, and maybe down the road we could put an anthology together or something like that. But we would love to have any contributions at jcpoets.org, so just look it up, and there's some. It's simple to find. All right, one more poet, and then I'm going to explain to you why that is there. I'm not going to hang myself, even though I probably should. Let's give a big round of applause for another one of the poet, Johnson City Poet Collectives. She's one of our keepers, been with us for a long time, crazy friend of mine. And I will stay up here and adjust the microphone to make sure you can have it at your height. Everybody welcome Allison Cox. Gotta crank her way down for you. How's that?
That's too low. That's my boobs. There you go. Thank you.
Come on, Bragg.
It's never good enough for
I just said it was good enough. Really kind of excited. I got an introduction today instead of just, hey, here's another poet. My America. It has potential. Thank you. I'll put it on for you. That's all. You can clap now.
I thought that was going a whole other direction.
Well, I have one, but I don't really feel like reading it today. But I brought it in case we're fun.
In case we need to scream.
Okay, so little Dane opening here. Over Christmas, I spent some time, inpatient time, in a rehab. And I really wanted to write a poem about that because that's some deep shit, you know? You go through some stuff and what have you. And so I wrote it, and I said, this sounds like a narrative. Fuck. Never mind. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit, okay? In rehab, there is showers behind unlocked doors. There are 3 beds to a room. There are almost hourly vitals checks, which leave bruises on my arm. There is popcorn at any time, crackers and peanut butter, and then there's the freezer full of ice cream, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, and orange sherbet. And the refrigerator has milk and chocolate milk and orange juice and sweet tea, which really tastes like coffee because they brew it in the same container. It's disgusting. And some kind of fruit punch concoction. And it has coffee and hot tea and hot chocolate. Rehab also has people to listen. But what rehab doesn't have, there's no romance in rehab. None whatsoever. We were told this by the nurse as she kind of looked. Even the microphone is upset there's no romance. Hello? Okay. So the nurse comes in and she kind of looks around the room. We all know who she's talking about. But she does her damnedest to try and cut her eyes unjudgmentally at the people she's addressing while she says, this is just in general, I'm not picking on anybody in particular. So I guess that's it, really, my non-narrative narrative of rehab. Just what I took from it is there is no romance in rehab. Just for everybody to know.
No romance in rehab.
No romance in rehab. Okay. So on that note, we're going to read this. Some days I look at the sky and I can barely breathe because it feels like the oxygen has become lead in my lungs. My legs can't move, but when they do, it takes my brain 3 seconds to follow. Or maybe my brain is ahead of my body. I really have no idea anymore. There's a fog around me, and as long as I don't move from this spot is safe. I've checked it 37, 38, 39 times. The pillows are fluffed to an acceptable degree. The comforter has no wrinkles. Oh wait. Okay, now it has no wrinkles, but where am I gonna sit? Okay, breathe. As long as I don't move from this spot, I have everything I need. Please don't ask anything of me. The demon in my head is waking up. I need to get moving. I need to start the ritual to keep it away. Maybe today I can have a few extra minutes of normal breath. But the fog rolls in. I see it on the edges of my eyes, just out of reach. If it had a voice, it would be laughing, that tinkling, evil fairy laughter that tells you you've entered another dimension, a dimension of pain and doubt and fear and loneliness. I know this place well. I have a favorite corner, and I've developed a pattern of walking that keeps the evil monsters away from me, but they figured it out, and now they threaten my family. It's the cracks on the sidewalks. They put them there. And every time you step on one, you open a gateway to their dimension that lets the demons out into our world where they create chaos and death. That Malaysian plane that disappeared a while ago, and now there's another one, that was my fault. The fog blinded me. I didn't start the ritual quick enough. There were too many cracks on the sidewalk on my way to work. I don't even really know who I am anymore. I feel like my soul is a kite being dragged along on a tattered silk string behind my body. Sometimes the wind blows and my soul and body meet, and even though it's for a brief moment and I feel out of sync with my place in the world, it's long enough to see the damage in my mind. To glimpse the demons writhing around my circulatory system, squirting a green gaseous poison straight into my spinal column, but you don't see all of this. What you see is a whole person with a few quirks. Sometimes I have bags under my eyes. You think I stayed up too late, but I haven't slept in 3 days wondering if my friends and family know how much I love them and they mean to me. Because what if I died during the night? I should check on my son. Is he breathing? I stare and touch his forehead, put my finger under his nose to try to find that sweet caress of breath, but that's not enough, so I have to push him gently to get him to move. I push and push and push until his body jerks away from me and he rolls over. And I can breathe again. But wait, what if it was the puppy? I should check on him now. The same ritual is done over before I can even lay down in bed, only to stare at the ceiling and wonder if I should just take the pills and put myself out of my misery. You see me on the good days and I hide on the bad days. Every time you say you're depressed about a bad grade or a breakup or a bad day at work, I cringe and want to yell that you have no idea what it's like to live under the heavy shadow of depression when you can't move because you have no energy, and really, who'd care if you didn't show up today? You'll never know how many times I had to convince myself that no, life would actually be better without me. Life wouldn't actually be better without me in it. I would really be missed. So if I slip up and I say I'm having a difficult time getting out of bed and participating in life, don't tell me to suck it up or it can't be that bad. I'm trusting you with the most secret part of me, my pain. Sometimes it gets so bad I need someone to help me crawl back. When I have an anxiety attack, don't tell me I'm overreacting, help me breathe. I step into the elevator and I see judgment in your eyes because I didn't take the stairs. But you didn't see the breakdown I had in my car before coming into the building. I'm having a hard enough time not falling onto the floor crying. There's no way I could manage the stairs right now. If I had a physical impairment, if I were missing a limb or on crutches or had an electronic voice box, there would be no question in your mind that there was something legitimately wrong with me. Lucky for me, my illness doesn't need you to affirm it. I'm not lazy or blowing things out of proportion or trying to get attention. I have bipolar disorder, clinical depression, panic disorder, and compulsive behaviors, but I'm still a human being. My illnesses don't define me. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. There's a Blues Brother album, and he talks about, it must have been live, I don't know, but Aykroyd, you can hear Aykroyd saying, hey, my brother, he's taking his jacket off. He don't take his jacket off when he goes to bed, but he takes his jacket off because he's becoming exceedingly intimate with you. All right, I'm going to set this down for a second. I'm going to become exceedingly intimate with you. Some of you are ready for this, some of you are not. I love you people. I really do, every one of you. I've had this stage for poetry, so we can do a lot of cool shit for a good while. And I mean, when I'm not here, other people do it, and it's awesome. And it works on such a wonderful capacity. You have no idea how much therapy it is for me to get up here and make a complete ass every third Wednesday of the month. And you listen to me, it's great.
Because we have to.
But the give and the get is I listen to you. And sometimes I get from it, and sometimes I don't. I mean, I don't think I've heard a bad poet in this room in a long time. It's really wild. It's really awesome. So I love you people, I really do. And thinking about that, thinking about where all this kind of came from, is somewhere deep inside of me, I'm a poet. I'm also a raging alcoholic and a tree climber. No, I'm not like you think. I'll show you here. Just shut up. That guy. There's always that guy in the corner.
There's two of us.
No, but listen to me. When I decided I had to get the hell out, I was losing control of my life, and I was working 76 hours a week, not doing really well, not eating right, drinking heavily. But all I could do was write poetry. That was my outlet of it because I was working all the time. So after doing that for a while, I kind of had a breakdown, and I thought I can either blow my brains out or hike the Appalachian Trail. So I'm still here right now. So somehow or another, I came up with $3,000, and I walked from Georgia to Maine. Well, I had no idea. I started out with a lot of weight. And I don't want to get into that story. But anyway, you get a handle. I don't know what it is, why, but it's like you're a truck driver or something when you want to walk the whole thing. And everybody was insisting that I have a name. I'm like, I got a name. It's Brandon. And so, but finally, this one night, we were talking about the things we love, and I was talking about Waffle House and beer. And we sat and we talked about Waffle House and beer for hours. And then I told him this poem. I'm going to tell you two poems. I'm going to recite one poem, and this is how I became the beer poet, which is really has a lot to do with why I'm standing on a stage. But then I'm going to read you another poem. Sorry, I don't have it memorized yet. But I'm going to do them both hanging upside down. So hold on.
Anybody be so kind? I brought my chewing gum. No, actually. Hey, you guys want to see what a used PBR looks like? Some people have clean heroes like Superman and G.I. Joe. But why I look up to winos, I don't think I'll ever know. I see the man who's lost his home because of his drunken spree, but the bubbles in the thick white foam will always be sacred to me. Like the cowboy sitting at the bar trying to drown his blues, he's listening to a steel guitar and he's lost in a sea of booze. And my hero's goals may not be great, they may not fight or kill, but they control their own fate, and what they know is real. And they may not strive, they may not try or really give a damn, because all they know, or give a damn, and they make it through life with beer and Spam. So as I stagger through this life, chasing every swallow, I'll never forget the men of strife, the winos I have followed. All right, now I'm going to read this one, if I can see. There's a lot of blood rushing to my head. Oh, here we go. That works out. The light is perfect. This is called Don't Leave Me Hanging. My days are in turmoil, and nothing is right. My white is your black is my white. My upside down world where nothing makes sense. Now left is my right, with you on the fence. Caddy is cornered and crooked is straight, and I want to get down, my God, I can't wait. Don't leave me like this. This can't be my fate. But down is just feathers, and the way that I feel, and up is just space where nothing is real. And I'm here all fucked up on this frayed string, right here on this beam, trapped in midair, no feet on the ground, just pain in my brain as I hang upside down. And all of this happened because you're not around. I'm Houdini in water without an escape. I'm Steinbeck's turtle and I can't get it straight. I feel like St. Peter, unworthy to die. I'm a white-nosed bat, unable to fly, just waiting to drop like those tears that I cry. Now hate can be love and love can be hate, and I hope I survive this terrible fate. Downside up and upside down, and all of my smiles have become frowns. But maybe if I could get out of this miserable town, I could finally settle and get turned around. But I can only just hang here like a coat on a rack, and I want to move forward where I need to move back. But you keep hanging me on this cage, on this wall, and you won't let me fly, but you won't let me crawl. So here I just dangle, suspended in air, just meat on a meat hook, but you couldn't care. Well, I'd like to forget you, and I'd like to stand tall, but hell, to live life without you, I might as well fall. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, I think we are, I'm the last poet. Anybody else want to be on the list? Give. Wait a minute, I gotta sit down. Anybody? Wait a minute. Anybody want to follow that? No, wait. Actually, we're going to do a second round, yes, and you're the first poet on the second round. But if you all don't mind, I'm going to take a break. So let's give it, 15 minutes? I'm going to go throw up, drink one more beer, and I'll be right back.